Bravo 2 alarm. Bravo 2, what's that? It's executive overflow. If it does not occur again, we're fine. It has not occurred again. Okay, we're going to continue.
Give us a reading on the Cornell program alarm. We're going that flight.
We're going that alarm.
Roger, we got you. We're going that alarm. When we go.
Roger.
He's taking it up.
It's continuous that makes it no go. If it reoccurs, we're fine. We have de-enabled. So now the computer's picking up velocity data as well.
Sorry, it's a little garbled, but you can hear how calm his voice is. He says, if it doesn't continue, we're fine. It's like he's talking to an excited toddler.
Okay, 75 feet. Start looking good. Down a half. 6 forward. 60 seconds. Lights on. 6. Down 2.5. Forward. Forward. Good. 40 feet down 2.5. Picking up some dust. 30 feet, 2.5 down. Straight shadow. 4 forward. 4 forward. Drifts into the right lobe. 6. Down a half. 30 seconds. Forward. Good. 6. Contact lights. Okay, engine stop. ATA at a descent. Post control, both auto, descent engine command override off. Engine arm off. 413 is in. We copy you down, Eagle. Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. Roger, 20 Tranquility. We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was a real cliffhanger. And because, again, nobody knew about the big crater. Nobody knew. So now you understand why Neil Armstrong considered the landing the emotional high of the mission, and why he only thought they had a 50-50 chance of pulling it off, and why he felt such a sense of satisfaction at having, been able to carry this off, knowing that he was part of a team that really amounted to about 400,000 people. I mean, he never lost sight of that. At this point, NASA hopes it will, but don't quote me. I think it's going to be tough to get back in 5 years. I think it'll be more like 10. But, I'm willing to be surprised. And it's possible, look, it's possible that the first people to go back to the moon won't be us. China has a very vigorous space program, and they definitely want to put people on the moon, and they might be able to do it in less than 10 years. That costs a lot of money.
Since there's no erosion on the moon because it's caused by wind, how long do you think Neil Armstrong's steps would stay on the moon?
Well, there's one form of erosion on the moon that I didn't mention, and that is micrometeorites. So tiny little pieces of rock and dust that are left over from comets are always zooming through space, and of course the moon has no atmosphere. If you go out later this summer, August 12th, I think it is, 11th to 12th, the Perseid meteor shower. How many of you have heard of the Perseid meteor shower? Take your kids out and show them the Perseid meteors, and you won't regret it if it's a clear night and it's a dark night and you're patient. You got to be a little patient. You'll see some meteors, and those are pieces of comet dust that are burning up in our upper atmosphere at a height of about 60 miles. But on the moon, there's no atmosphere, and so those pieces of rock and dust come all the way down to the surface, and they're traveling at thousands of miles an hour. So they're the reason that the moon is covered with this blanket of dust all over the place. And that has the effect of eroding things over very long periods of time. So the footprints that Neil and the others left on the moon will not be there forever. They will probably be there something less than 1 million years.
NASA actually has two divisions, as I understand it, atmospheric science.
Well, the first I have to say is my own book, Man on the Moon. The second would be Apollo, the Race to the Moon by Charles Murray and Catherine Cox. That's about the engineers and the flight controllers. Then there's a great book about the science that we got from Apollo called To a Rocky Moon by Don Wilhelms. And, I also recommended Mike Collins' book, Carrying the Fire, which was his autobiography.
Can we ask how old the young man is?
Yeah, how old are you?
10?
All right.
What about the one with Ellen Bean?
Yes, okay, so my wife and I wrote a book for 10-year-olds
About 10
called Mission Control, This is Apollo. Now, it's out of print,
Yeah.
but you might be able to find it in a used bookstore webpage or even on Amazon. It's called Mission Control, This is Apollo.
Might be hard
And
to
it's
get.
by Andrew Chaikin and Victoria Cole with Alan Bean, and it's illustrated with Alan Bean's paintings, The Moonwalker.
Or your mom can get it from the Cornell library.
There you go.
Andy, also your books is on audio.
Yeah, Man on the
That
Moon
might
is
be-
on
and-
audiobooks.com. They have it
If
on
you'd
audio,
like,
if you'd rather
if he likes to
it.
listen to
Yeah.
this for him to read.
Why? Like,
car
why-
Good question.
What?
On a long car ride.
Yeah, exactly,
why
because
did
I
they
don't know if
send
it's a
out
big,
3
thick
people?
book.
Why
I
not
don't know.
2 or why not 4?
Well, 4 would have been too heavy. They
Because
couldn't.
they have to have enough fuel, and it has to be a certain size.
But it has to have enough. They have enough air. They have to have enough food and water, and they have to have, like, the life support system has to be able to handle that many people. So they could only make it heavy enough to carry 3 people off the Earth. And what they said was, we can put 2 people in the lander, and it'll take 2 people to do that job. And we'll have the 3rd guy waiting in orbit in the mothership. And then he'll be up there when they come back up from the surface.
Okay.
All right.
So if all since plants exhale oxygen, which we inhale,
Yes.
if all the plants like miraculously died out, not
Well,
only
they
would
don't.
we
They don't
like,
have a greenhouse. They've not had a working greenhouse on a spaceship yet. It's a good idea, but they've only had experimental greenhouses. They've never had. When we go to Mars, definitely we're going to have to grow food.
yeah.
Because we don't have enough. We
They're
can't
not gonna
carry
send-
enough
yeah.
food for a 3-year trip. So we're going to have to grow food on the way to Mars. And we're going to have to grow food on Mars.
Like in
And
the
that's going to be
movie.
interesting because Mars dust has some things in it that are not good for us, like perchlorate, which is a toxin for your thyroid gland. It actually competes with iodine, gets into the thyroid, and we know there's perchlorate all over Mars in the dust of Mars, so that's a problem. That's one of the reasons I don't think it's going to happen until you guys are grown-ups.
Is the gland in front of the vocal cords?
Yeah, the thyroid is the
Is
one
that
right under.
like? Isn't that what like?
It's part of your metabolism, and yeah.
It's right here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
You look familiar.